Hello and welcome to Cherries Red Army, the fan show. It's been a few weeks, but we are back. We've had a few games. We got Aston Villa coming on Sunday, and we got lots we want to talk about, and we want you here interactively live on YouTube. So get involved this evening. The interactive chat is open. If you're a subscriber to Cherries Red Army, you can get involved, interact with fans, and there will be opportunity this evening to get involved on a poll. We're going to do who is the player of the season so far, and the panel I've got with me have selected a few players for you to choose from. We've also got guess a player. It's a popular game that we play, so we'll get involved again on guess a player and see if you can get this one. And of course, anything that pops up in between our conversations, in the chat, anything the panel might bring up, we'll discuss as well. We'll be here to about 9:30. So grab yourself a drink, get involved, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new to Cherries Red Army. So a couple of games ago, we beat Nottingham Forest. Of course we did. We don't lose to them in the Premier League. So we did another job on them. We remain unbeaten at home. That put us to second in the Premier League. That was another historic moment for Andoni Iraola. We then went off to the Etihad and lost at Manchester City. Of course we did, because we don't get anything there. So that was a result we were pretty much expecting, although we did hold a little bit of hope. The only concern for me now is if we picked any knocks or injuries up, but we'll speak to the panel and we'll see what they think. So get your likes in there, say hello in the chat. What I want to do is start this stream a little bit positively after that result in Manchester, especially for those that went to the game and travelled up north on a Sunday. So let's just revisit that 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest. These are some of the highlights from Cherries Red Army's Matchday vlog. Hello and welcome to Cherries Red Army. We are back home at the unbeaten fortress, Dean Court. We're taking on Nottingham Forest. Also have an unbeaten record against them in the Premier League.
With Dyche, we know what his teams are like. We know how they set up.
Yeah.
So if they score first, it's going to be a ball fest, isn't it?
Score prediction, although it's a draw, you got it right at Ellen Road.
Yes.
So as long as you're predicting a win, I'm going to be a little bit more confident. Score prediction.
2-0, 2-0, 2-0 to us. Okay, kickoff is approaching. Milicevic is in the lineup again. Incoming, clean sheet, 2-0 to the Cherries. Getting indeed. By the way, Carol Toller, you're an absolute legend. She's an absolute legend.
Unbelievable.
One vlog, Leeds 2-2. Second vlog at home, Forest 2-0. Absolute legend. I'm coming to you with the camera next game. I'm going to find you. I will find you, and we'll get another winning score prediction. I've got Steve Hensman, John Spark, and Matt Davies with me. Steve, how are you doing? Let us know what you think later on in those games. But we're also going to do player of the season so far after 10 games. So do tell the people in the chat how you're doing, but also bring someone to the table that they could potentially vote for very, very soon.
Well, yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening, boys. Good to be back. Unfortunately, on the back of a loss, but we won't dwell on that because the season, as you say, so far has been pretty awesome. And I'm going to put up a pretty obvious one in Antoine Semenyo. So there you go. Let's just get it straight out of the gate. Let's put him on the table. And mainly because of his defensive work. I mean, no, that's rubbish. Because of his goals and assists. Look at that. 6 and 3. I mean, we've not seen him at these levels yet. I think there's more from him to come. But it's just whether we can hold on to him and whether we'll see the best of him at our club, or if we cash in and take that big money that people are banding around. But so far for me, he's been superb.
Yeah, absolutely. He has got a very strong chance of being player in the season so far when the poll is released on YouTube very, very soon. John Sparks here with a lovely Bournemouth top. He's here on a Wednesday. Wednesdays are a good day for John Sparks. So if they're a good day for you, they're a good day for John. How you doing, John? Let the people know in the chat how you're feeling, but also the player you're bringing to the table for this poll.
Yeah, doing good, thanks, Kirk. Yes, Wednesday's the only free day out of Tuesday to Thursday that I can do for these. So, but you'll know when I'm on and when I'm not, because if this is on a Wednesday, I'll be here. If it's not, I won't. But doing good, thanks. Yeah, thanks for organising it for a Wednesday. Yeah, it's a shame that it's on the back of a loss, but at least I was able to get to a game this season. Obviously, it's in my neck of the woods now. I feel like our poll may end up looking like the Bournemouth Man of the Match official Twitter poll that happens a few times, because I'm fairly certain there'll be one or two names people are going to be like, how on earth are they not in this list? But the person I brought to the table is Marcos Senesi. I think that he was a player. I think there was a fair amount of noise online about people being very, very worried about our defence with House and going to Barney and whatnot, but I'm forgetting that Senesi was and still is a brilliant defender throughout the period that he has been playing for us ever since we returned to the Premier League, because he's been here this will be his 4th season now for us, and obviously contract running down as well, so hopefully he gets some pen to paper if we make Europe. But he's our playmaker more so than anyone else in the team. He's the guy that sets our attacks going. Maybe a little bit too much long ball at times, but 2 assists already. He's got more interceptions per 90 for us, more blocks per 90 for us, more defensive actions per 90 for us than anyone else. He's just been very solid, very capable, and very good.
Yeah, fair shout, especially after Anfield. He's been very, very impressive. So good shout out there. Now, before I come to you, Matt, I do want to dive in the chat and just see who's joining us currently on YouTube. So Stephen Dyer, good evening. Chris Hubble, Jamie Keynes. We have got Sean, Steve, Aaron K's in the chat. Ethan, good evening. Omid, we've got Mark, John's in the chat, and just running through a few more of these. Mark Cole, Auntie Skeptic, I think that's Mark and Beth. Yes, and that's it for the moment. So anyone else joining us, do let us know in the chat. Matt, good to have you back as well. You were in France the last time. You were going to be on the last stream, but just couldn't make it happen due to the travel. But it's good to see you. And what player are you bringing to the table for our poll coming very soon?
Yeah, good to see you, boys. Good to see everybody in the chat. Great to be back on. Disappointed about Sunday, but inevitable. I did fear the worst, to be honest, on Sunday. Didn't think like we'd get anything from the game, if I'm being brutally honest, beforehand. So it was no surprise. The scoreline was the game went pretty much as I thought it would, really. However, it's been a great season, as Steve said, so far. I think that the player for me that stood out, I wouldn't say the most, but I think he's unsung, and he's pretty much he's a staple on the team sheet, is Tyler Adams. I think he just makes us tick, doesn't he? If he's not playing, if he's not on the team sheet on Sunday or whenever it is, you're going to worry, aren't you? Because what he does from a defensive viewpoint, and he gets us playing as well. So all that offensive ability that we've shown up top wouldn't be possible without Tyler Adams. I think breaking up play, reading situations, getting in amongst it in the middle of the park, because the midfield battles are always where games are won and lost, generally speaking. He does it so effectively. He's got such an engine on him. He reads the game so well. His timing in the tackle, the ability to just play a simple pass, to cover defensively as well. And when we've talked about our back four and goalkeeper being so new to play together, and I think one of the reasons they've been so successful is because Tyler Adams has screened them so well. He's protected them so well. And when he's, he does the ugly stuff, doesn't he? Brilliantly. He does the dirty work, which other players, aren't able to do. His energy is fantastic. He covers every blade of grass. And when he's got the ball, he does the simple thing, which allows the offensive players to then do their thing in the final third. So for me, he's been phenomenal this season in particular. I think he's had a fantastic start, and he's made that number 6 shirt, if you like, his own. I think he's been fantastic, and it'd be a huge loss if he ever, came out of the team for injury, via injury or suspension, whatever it might be. So yeah, brilliant from Tyler Adams, and that would be my choice so far.
Brilliant. And he is going to have a strong chance this evening at potentially getting the poll win. So it comes over to me. So I hope you're doing very well. And I am going to let you know that the final player you can potentially pick on this player of the season so far after 10 games poll is Alex Scott. So this is going to interest Tyler Adams as well, because they're building a little partnership here where Tyler Adams is doing the cleaning up and he is winning the ball back. And Alex Scott is now growing into a strong player who is dominating midfield at times, but he is creative. He's trying to take us forward. He's trying to make stuff happen. And he's looking like that 20 to 25 million star that we were hoping he was going to turn into. So it's taken a while. He's had some injuries. I also feel Alex Scott has removed that injury concern from his brain. I felt like last season when he was having his opportunities, he almost looked like he was thinking about the injuries he's had. And I think like he's got over that, because it can get in your head a little bit. For anyone who's suffered bad injuries, it can play on your mind and you adapt your game trying to think that that's not going to cause an injury again, but actually you do more damage. And I don't know, maybe Alex Scott has had some support, some help, some mental help. Obviously, Andoni Iraola and his team are great, but he's looking very comfortable, very positive, and he's looking very fit and very, very fresh. So your contenders on the poll now on YouTube is Marcos Senesi, Alex Scott, Antoine Semenyo, Tyler Adams. So we'll let that go. Get in there in the chat. It'll be somewhere within YouTube. I'll come back to it later on in the stream and we'll see who has picked up the win. So thank you for that, guys. Right, lads, Steve, let's go back, if you can remember, to Nottingham Forest, our unbeaten record at home. There were some concerns that Sean Dyche might turn up with a different Nottingham Forest that we'd seen under Ange, and they would get something from us. But actually, we did all right. And I think we dealt with it. I don't think the Sean Dyche of teams where he's maybe had more time to work with them. You can see what they were trying to do. But for me, I didn't think they threatened. I thought we scored 2 great goals. Tavernier, did he mean it? Not sure, but it was a junior Stanislas. And Krupi just is doing what he has been doing as a youngster, raw player, just seeing the goal on sight, hitting it. And at the moment, it was going in for him.
Yeah, can I just sort of, before we move on completely, just say to the chat, obviously this was a difficult choice to put 4 players together because the team's been awesome. A lot of people will say Traffert, and I've noticed Mark's already done that. Yes, he has been. It was just personal preference. If Aaron was about, he would have probably he's got a stronger case as anybody. But yeah, the whole team's been brilliant. But moving on to Nottingham Forest, that was just what you just said there about them not having the time, not Dyche not having the time, is what it kind of looked like to me. It didn't look like, from a Nottingham Forest point of view, it looked like they were a little bit 6s and 7s, a bit disjointed. Nothing was really going for them. We were at our peak. We were doing what we've been doing all season, and we didn't give them a moment in the first half. I thought we were excellent first half. I thought we really got about them. We really caused them problems. It wasn't just, the 2 goals. We could have had, I remember Tab having an early shot, well saved by Sells. And I think, did Semenyo force him into a save as well from the opposite side, a bit with his feet early on. So, yeah, there was a lot of threat, and I didn't see much coming back from them. They couldn't seem to get it going. Probably, partly down to how good we were, but equally it just looked a little bit like they had been, Dyche had been there 5 minutes, hadn't really got any of his patterns of play over, or whatever he's trying to implement. But I thought second half we didn't have to go chasing the game really, and they kind of resorted to going a bit long ball, a bit more direct, which I thought, Milo dealt with and Senesi dealt with really, really well. I thought our fullbacks were brilliant again. Jimenez is quickly becoming one of my favourites as well. I think he's an excellent addition. We've been searching for a right back to replace. I'm not saying he is going to replace Smudger, but looking to someone that could we as fans want to see in that position, because I think we've had some some ones come in and we've gone nah, and they've moved on. But this lad looks really, really dangerous, and he can defend as well, and he's calm on the ball. He gave Callum Hudson-Odoi no joy, and he got taken off at half time. So yeah, I'm promising signs from them, and just another great performance from the lads. I mean, Matt said about Tyler Adams, he was neat and tidy. He wins the ball back for Krupi's goal, doesn't he? He's tenacious in there. And yeah, you couldn't ask more from the performance. Clean sheet, 2 goals, and keeping the run going.
John, so I want to pick up on a few things that Steve said there, because Jamie in the chat, and we'll come to this in a bit when we talk about Manchester City and that result. Should we keep Diakite in at centre-back this weekend or switch it back to Milo for this one? So Milicevic came in for his second appearance, again at home, and obviously we won the game against Brighton when he came in and he got man of the match. Senesi and Milicevic were very comfortable in that Nottingham Forest game. Yeah, your thoughts on Milicevic? Because for me, he's looking like a different type of centre back to Diakite.
I mean, to an extent, yeah. I mean, okay, his first start was against Brighton. There's no denying that is not an easy game to be thrown into. Forest was a lot more comfortable, and I think. It's something that I think Steve and I talked about this after the Man City game. It's a bit like what we've seen of Diakite so far has been fine. But if you think against Palace, he falls asleep a little bit and doesn't really stick to Mateta for pretty much any of the goals, and obviously gives away rather harshly the penalty for their third. Whereas Milicevic looks a little bit more composed, looks a little bit more comfortable at actually sticking to his man, and also is completely happy with the physical game. Now, how well he would have done against Haaland, we'll never know unless he ends up starting the reverse fixture. But I do think that of discourse I saw online was people that maybe took one look at things and thought Senesi was the issue, and then other people that looked and thought Diakite was the problem. We'll get into we'll get into that City game later, but right now that shirt is up for grabs if Milicevic comes in and performs, because so far he has done, and Diakite has had a mixed bag against strong sides. And he has played a lot of good sides. If we're looking at the fact that us as ourselves, our 5 away games have been 5 of the hardest away games all season. Certainly the 2 that we've lost are the most difficult games of the year. So, we can't be too harsh considering he has just played probably the best striker on the planet, certainly top 3. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens. If Velshko is brought in, then I'm perfectly happy with it. If Diakite stays, then I would like him to see that as a chance to really prove himself in the next game against Villa, which is another very difficult away game.
Yeah, is it interesting, Matt, that Andoni Iraola is a talented coach, and we know this. He is going to be headhunted by a lot of sides very, very soon, including his club, Atletico Bilbao, or whatever they're called nowadays. Even they might be trying to track him down very, very soon. Is he looking at this, though, that he sees Milo as a home starter with his age and inexperience, and he sees Diakite with a little bit more experience and sees him on the road? Is he looking at it like that? Because the 2 games that Milo's had have been very assured, but both at home, where maybe the atmosphere might be a bit different. Maybe we'll have a little bit more control in the game. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking that as the boys were talking there. I think you got to factor in the fact that Milo is a very, very young defender. coming to the Premier League, obviously with no experience. Diakite as well hasn't got any Premier League experience, but obviously a lot more experienced as a defender at top league level in Europe. So we've got a very young defender here in Milo, who's 18 years old, and he is going to take some time to bed in. So I do think it's a gradual process. So I do think Andoni, he's got that in mind, and he's been quite clever about how he's using him at the moment and how he's bedding him into the Premier League and English football in general. Obviously, the communications side of things, the way things are done in the Premier League, the pace of the game. He's got all that to adapt to, as all the other players have as well that have come in that have also got no prior Premier League experience. So it is a learning curve, a steep one, and a process really. So I think he's trying to work it out. I mean, these players are brand new to us. They've been thrown in. Diakite, I think he is a different type of defender to Milo. I think Milo is probably, you'd say, quicker on the ground than Diakite. Ball playing ability, I would say, maybe there's not much in it, but I'd definitely say Milo is quicker. He's obviously taller, so his aerial
longer legs,
presence.
Matt.
Yeah, longer legs. Yeah, a bit like yourself, Steve. It's probably about your height. So yeah,
are you comparing yourself to Milicevic?
No,
Steve?
not only my legs.
Is that where the comparison ends?
Yeah, that's it. We both got legs. That's it.
What we won't do on Cherries Red Army is compare Milisevic's legs and Steve's legs. I can guarantee you that. Continue, Matt.
All I'm saying is, when you're a tall defender, your long legs get you out of trouble sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he'll use that to his advantage. So, yeah, I think he's looking at it, Andoni, and trying to work it out still, because it is a process, isn't it? And I still think there'll be periods in the season where we'll utilise both. It's up to one or the other to really seize it, isn't it, and take the opportunity to make that spot their own. But there will be periods in the season. I do still worry for us defensively. I think I wouldn't say we've got away with it a bit defensively, but we have, and we are starting to leak a few goals now, as we've seen in recent games. So there is quite a bit to work on from a defensive aspect for me. So time will tell how that'll go. But two great additions, and they were additions that were desperately needed. And when you're trying to replace players of the ilk of Dean Housen and Ilya Zabane, it's not an easy thing to do, is it? You can have the best recruitment team in the world. And let's be honest, we're proving that we've got a great recruitment team. But when you're trying to replace those players and you're trying to continually improve as a football team, as a football club, that's not an easy thing to do. So it will be a process, as I keep saying.
Sure, and I can reassure you, we're not going to be comparing legs or calves or thighs or anything like that on this channel. It's not going to happen.
Can I just ask a question to you guys? I mean, I was of the thinking before the Man City game that I would have thrown him in, Milo that is, and see if he was up to it. I know there's a school of thought that says the opposite of, if he gets torn to pieces, then it's damaging for his confidence. But I would have just, because I don't think we wanted to play him against Brighton. That was forced. And I wonder if there's a case of sort of throw him in at the deep end and see what happens, and see what his metal's about. See if he could have gone up to the Highland Challenge, and then you see where he's at.
I thought he might, Steve. Yeah, I thought, bearing in mind we kept a clean sheet the week before and he had a solid enough game.
Exactly.
For continuity and for building a solid unit there with a good understanding, I thought he might stick with it, to be honest. So I wouldn't say I was surprised to see Diakite start ahead of him, but I thought he might. Not at all. Yeah, I thought he might have stuck with him.
I was just sort of thinking to myself, well, this is a he's done nothing wrong so far. Whereas I could pick on, not that I want to pick on Diakite, but he's played more, so there's more issues there. He played against Palace, and like John said, that didn't have a great time with Mateta that day. And I don't think he had a great time with Haaland. And I just think maybe for his size and his long legs, and he might have dealt with him. You never know. And I just think find out about the lad, find out how good he is, see if he's up to it, see if he's got the mettle.
Yeah. I think we're doing that. But yeah.
what I do try and do, as the guys will know, is have a little bit of a structure here and how we're going to sort of go through the stream and be involved. And I'm gonna throw it all out the window. Literally at 10 to
Why
8, I
mess
was
it up
saying
anyway?
Blimey.
we're going to go like in this order. But Steve, the reason I'm going to break this up is because I want to come to John because you've asked an interesting question. So we wanted to talk about Forest, move on to Man City, but it looks like we're just going to combine the two. And I'm going to have to do that now because I want to go to John because John, Steve's just asked an interesting question, right, about whether, on reflection, should Milicevic have started. Now, I think before the game, I would have said no. Halfway through that game, if I could have gone back to 0-0 minutes, I would have had Milo in there. But do you know who I wouldn't have had in there? I wouldn't have had Senesi in there. Because I think Senesi has been a fantastic player this season. But when you look at the games he struggled at, Anfield and Man City, and I think his legs kill him every time. And I know it was the tactics and the style that got us. And I know he relies on others to recover him. I actually think on reflection, I would have gone Milo and Diakite.
That, I think, would have worked if the tactics had changed slightly. Because the thing is that Iraola, we very well know, is a very principled manager. He's got his style as how he wants the team to set up and how he wants to deal with attackers and how we are going to deal with all of our opposing attacking forces. And we played this game like we would have played, like we did play Liverpool, like we will play every other team we play, in that, and if you look online enough, you'll find some good tactical breakdowns of this, is that if the midfield has to press hard against your opposition midfield, and what that will often do is, particularly in this situation, when you look at how Man City decided to completely flood the midfield, where normally we probably got 3 players against 3, maybe 3 against 4. In this set, we had basically 3 against 5 in the centre of midfield. And if the opposition, if we are pressing them high, you will probably need one of the 2 centre-backs to jump onto the midfielder that's been vacated, because Tavernier has moved forward, so Scott has to move forward, so Adams has to move forward, which means he's left the person behind and Senesi has to jump on. And in this instance, Senesi was maybe a tad bit slow to make those jumps. And then, certainly when you look at the first 2 goals, Diakite just fell asleep, not focusing on Haaland. Now, whether Diakite would have caught up with Haaland is another thing entirely. But if Diakite is stood on his toes or stood on his heels, he can't make the runs that he's looking to make. And that was the real issue I felt with Diakite over the Man City game. Now, if you change that and say, let's not play Senesi, let's play Milicevic because he's got a bit more pace about him, and Diakite is also faster than Senesi, you've got to press differently. You've got to play the game in a different way, which is not the Andoni way. I think a lot of the comments, and completely fair comments, has been that we were too naive, and I would say we were a bit slow. I think that was the difference. Naivety, you can say yes if we're doing something that you think is completely out of bounds of what we should do, and there's a perfectly legitimate argument to say that try and play a 0-0 draw in this game and just sit deep and maybe we'll get something on the counter, which is a way that Bournemouth can play. We've got the players to do it, but it's not how Andoni is ever going to set up his team. So the thing that you lose with Senesi is one of the things that's made him so great this season is his passing, because Diakite's passing has been fine. He played a couple of really nice long balls over the top against City, but it's generally not his bag to play the incisive pass. Milicevic, it's not been his thing so far. As far as we've seen, he's decent on the ball, but he's not really been put under much pressure. Senesi's the one that drives the game forward for us. And if you don't have him at all, you do lose something in the ball playing department. Admittedly, against Man City, it was less of a thing because they just dropped. They really did just drop and ask us to try and break them down, which we couldn't do. But it would have been an interesting scenario if we had changed it up. But I think that we couldn't have played the same way if you had changed put those other 2 in, because Senesi is so used to the system and he makes the right jumps. He was just slow in this instance. And Diakite, like I said, I think he fell asleep a bit.
Yeah, so we have mixed the two games here, but it's just naturally happened with the conversations we're having. So we'll continue to talk about both games and where we're at as a squad. Morgan in the chat is talking about, can't really blame the defenders. And Haaland's just Haaland. I think he's 2 away from being in Premier League 100. He's a machine like that. I think when you look at Haaland when he struggled is when you make it compact. He doesn't seem to be the same player, but when you give him space behind or between the defenders and the goalkeeper, he very much has a lot of success. Matt, before we go on to talk about some good things in regards to scoring and stuff like that, we'll stay on this subject a little bit longer, because I think I said to Steve in a separate chat that most teams would set up, probably 14 out of 20 sides at least would set up to try and frustrate Manchester City at the Etihad, bit of a low block, probably get the same result. Like Steve told me, you'd probably still lose 3-1, but it would be a different style. We very much did the complete opposite. We took a high line and we got punished for it. Okay, it wasn't an embarrassing scoreline. It was a scoreline we got last year, and I don't remember us having a high line in that one. So Steve's point's proven. But it was just a bit bizarre that we left ourselves so exposed, and Petrovic didn't really have a chance. I mean, he did make a really good save actually to stop Haaland having 3, but it gave the goalkeeper not much chance really, our defence, and the way we pressed really high.
Yeah, the way we set up, it's risk and reward, isn't it? That's what Andoni's middle name is, isn't it? Andoni Risk and Reward Iriola, because that is how he will set up. He will never.
I want to see the birth certificate.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's a big one.
I don't believe you.
One. It's written in Spanish, but it says Risk and Reward.
Yeah.
But he will never set up with a low block. He's never going to come to the Etihad with a low block and defend for 90 minutes and try and squeak a 0-0. That is not what we're all about. We don't do that very well. We never have done. Suicidal high line, yeah, Steve Connor in the chat saying, yeah, it was on the day. However, let's take a few things into account here, boys. We could have gone 1-0 up quite easily in minute 1. If there's no need for Krupi to be offside in that. He could have delayed his run a little bit more, timed it better. That's his naivety. That's his inexperience. He's a young striker. That puts us 1-0 up. That puts a completely different complexion on the game. And that was the game plan, boys, as it was against Forest. Hit them early, press them high, put them under pressure, make them panic a little bit, get the home crowd a bit edgy. That was the game plan, and try and nick a goal early. We had the opportunity to do that. It didn't quite work. When that doesn't happen, that gives them a bit of a kick up the backside in minute 2, and they're thinking, we got a game on here straight away. We got to play it, and they played it perfectly. And let's be honest, we're up against Andoni is the apprentice, Pep's the master, isn't he? And as John said, they dropped a little bit deep, so they encouraged us on. They actually encouraged the press. They encouraged that high line because they know they've got the ability to play through it. If there's a team in the world that you don't really want to be playing that high line against, it's Man City at the Etihad, because they've got the sheer technical ability, the nous and the know-how to play through it. And that's exactly what they did. They picked us off in that high line. So the risk and reward on this occasion did not pay off. But at various times this season, quite a lot of times, it has paid off. It nearly paid off at Anfield. We got it back to 2-2, and probably game management is what let us down in that game. And in the latter stages, we were a bit unfortunate, bit of poor defending as well. Meant we lost the game 4-2. So when you're going away to these top teams, and you're going toe-to-toe with them, you're going to need a degree of luck. You're going to need things to go your way. And you're going to need to be at your very, very best in the style of football that we're going to go and play, because we're going to go toe-to-toe with some of the best clubs in the world, playing that expansive football, pressing high, that extremely high line, which is, as Steve said in the chat, suicidal on this occasion. But we're going to do it. And we're going to keep doing it until we get better and better and better at it season after season, until we perfect it and we get closer to the Man Cities and the Liverpools when we go to Anfield and the Etihad doing it. So I've not got a problem with it. I don't see any shame in that defeat. I think we've had a lot of plaudits online that I've seen. I've seen a lot of pundits and football people online saying Bournemouth are brave. Bournemouth are a great side. They're a well-drilled unit. They've got technically excellent players. They all know their jobs. They're a brilliant team, and they're going to be up amongst it this season. And for me, boys, I think, take Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool out of it, because I think that there's your top 3 right there. 4th place is up for grabs. And at the moment, you would probably say that we're one of the favourites for it. with the start that we've had and the style of our football. And that high line that we play and that press and the way we play our football tactically is contributed to us being in that position. So let's not change.
Mark Cole in the chat says, Andoni said in those matches you have to choose your poison. So interesting thought there. Stephen Dyer says, our Haaland will be back soon. NSU now. I don't know if it'll be wise for him to do the robot celebration with his knees. Not sure, but he's got to ease himself gradually in. Steve, what I would say, and Matt is absolutely right. I mean, two things I'd say is we're not making the numbers up anymore. We've spoken about this for a while now. We are being taken a little bit seriously now, which is nice to know. We are here to very much play a good game. But we got Man City on a good day last year when we finally beat them. And actually, we started that poor run of their form last season. What I thought watching the game on Sunday was they weren't the complete Manchester City we've seen of the past, but they were very much growing back to what they used to be like.
Yeah, well, let's not. I mean, they've admitted themselves last season was a bit transitional for them. They sort of older players, De Bruyne being the main one, sort of fading out the side. It's, you know, Stones has been injured quite a lot. He can't get a run in the team. The whole defence was struggling a bit last season for City with injuries and whatnot. And they brought a few new faces in who hadn't bedded in and hit the ground running, and they weren't the Man City, and they weren't to be feared like they had previously been. Those new players they brought in have started to look a bit more settled within that side. Haaland is in the form of his life, and the back four is looking a bit stronger. So I think they brought a new goalkeeper in. There's been a bit of change, but I think that game the other day, I think we got them on a bad day. They were absolutely at it. I think Pep got everything right. I don't necessarily agree that Andoni got everything right. However, like Mark said, you live and die by your decisions, and he will fall on his sword, and he'll do his thing, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. He's not going to change that, and it's been, for the most part, really good for us. Like Matt said, there are those top three sides, and we are sort of. I said this at the time. It's kind of like we're now competing, and this is mad to say this, but we're competing for the best of the rest in the Premier League, and that's a massive kudos to the club, Andoni, the players, to everyone involved. But you come up against those sides, and you have got to be 100% on it. And I just felt we gave them a little bit too much respect. I think, like John said, they flooded the midfield. I thought Steve Connor brought it up earlier. Doku, I thought he played very cleverly. Actually, I don't know if it was a tactic from Pep, but when they turned the ball over, he almost got into a sort of in between the lines with Foden. It was almost like he had two 10s, and then it gave O'Reilly loads of space down that side, and it flooded the midfield. And it just made it really difficult for us to move the ball. And they were all over us, and they turned over the ball quite easily. And that's where both of their goals the first two come from. And and we didn't get the rub of the green with anything going the other way, really. Krupi's offside, shouldn't have been. We had a conversation, if that was ever, I think he's wise enough to stay on side in that position. Whereas Krupi, still young, still learning, knows where the goal is, and is just a bit too eager to get that goal. And it's Man City away. We can't be too crestfallen at not getting a result there, because there'll be a lot worse. Like somebody said, I think it was Matt said, there's been a lot of plaudits online. A lot of those plaudits, Man City fans going, we're one of the only teams that come to Man City and try and play football against them and give them a good game. And it's entertaining for them to watch. They must get so bored of just watching teams set up in a low block every week and watch them trying to have to slugfest through a back five. And so the neutral fan, they love a bit of Bournemouth, don't they? And it's great. It makes for great games on TV, and that's what Premier League's all about, entertaining. And we're going to get more spotlight if we're playing like that. So I'm all for it. But
just before we move on from the City game, because I feel we do need to talk about the Forest game as well, because we really haven't mentioned it at all, pretty much the entirety, apart from briefly mentioning that Milo started. That I think that the one thing that I would really take away from that is that Pep and the City team absolutely showed us maximum respect, because like, admittedly, it's not like I'm keeping on top of Man City's games, but I do not know of another time where Doku has basically been told to play as a central attacking midfielder, and you had Shirky coming in from the right hand side playing. They created a strategy purely to play against what they know to be our strength. Like I mentioned before, in terms of a tactical setup, normally we are 3 midfielders against 3 midfielders, maybe against 4 in a press. But it was 3 against 5 in that midfield. We just completely struggled to really get hold of the game when we were defending deep, when we were pressing high. It all just wouldn't quite settle because there were too many City players. It often felt like it was 12 against 11 in that game. Their technical ability is good enough as it is, let alone the fact that they just were swarming over us in overwhelming numbers in the areas where I thought we would be strong. I thought we might win that midfield battle and it would be the catapult forward. But Pep created a strategy, and we're not unique in this. Pep will adapt to every single team, but it was a really very obvious big tactical change to purely go up against our team. And then as soon as they lost the ball, they didn't really worry about a counter press that much. They just went, oh, we lost the ball, cool, we'll sit back, we'll settle into a mid block, slightly deeper, and then just go, we're not worried about winning the ball back from you, because we know that's not your strength. We're going to counter you in every way you can. So, heck, Bournemouth ended up with more possession than City in that game. That's just bonkers. That's how much they just showed the respect of being like, we have to play against your strength because otherwise we are going to struggle. So I think that we are seen as teams know what we're good at, and they're going to come up with ideas to keep sort of preventing us from doing our best. And that's what Iraola is going to have to come up with more, and I think it's going to be, it's going to be players like Semenyo that are going to be relied on in situations like this. I feel like he didn't really turn up against City personally, but we've got a run of fixtures coming up, which we'll look ahead to, that are fixtures that should be favourable for us. But we need to produce performances like we did against Forest in those games, because it's all good and well giving good showings against Palace, good showing against, getting a win away to Tottenham. When we are at home to West Ham in 3 weeks' time, that's when we need to really be making sure that we absolutely pick up 3 points. And Forest was one of those games. It could have been like that with Forest, but we performed. We kind of sealed it in the first half and then just completely took our foot off the gas in the second half. We really didn't make anything happen in the second half of that game, but we didn't have to. It's a new side to Iraola. What he wants from this side is that do all the hard work in the first half and then just put the brakes on. Let's save the energy. Let's not get those injuries that we did last year. Let's not be stupid. Yeah. Let's get 2 goals, settle in, and then, we'll see the game out comfortably as we did.
Yeah. Maybe he was thinking about or had one eye on City, and he definitely very much went down a few gears in that second half at Forest. Don't worry, John. We're going to come back to Forest because I want to talk about a little superstar who wants to be the next Thierry Henry, maybe. So I'll come back to that in a moment. But there's something we need to do now just to break this stream up a little bit. I'm looking at their faces. Look, and John can, who's Joe? John can see a bit of behind the scenes, so I don't know if he can see guest player this week. He might be
I can't actually. I can't right now.
Oh, okay. No. Interesting. That's really interesting. It's time, guys, for you in the chat to play along for hint 1 in... Oh, yes, the best game show on YouTube right now is Guess the Player on Cherries.
That's a bold statement.
Isn't it?
I don't think Mr. Beast will be too happy.
Okay, so slightly different. Here we go. I am going to show you a career path of a former AFC Bournemouth player. He has had a few clubs, and I'm going to show you a few in hint 1 in about 10 minutes time. I'm going to show you hint 2, and then we'll get the guesses in the chat. So here is guess 1 for guess the player career path. He started his career at Sheffield United, hidden badge, Southend United, hidden badge, AFC Bournemouth. So don't guess yet, but start thinking. Don't use Google, don't cheat. Sheffield United, hidden badge, Southend, hidden badge, AFC Bournemouth. No guesses yet, guys. Any
Is
thoughts?
that his whole career?
And it's in that order. Follow the
Right, so
arrows.
he started at Sheffield United, finished his career at Bournemouth.
He certainly did, but no guesses
Okay.
yet. Matt, I do want to talk about a sensational youngster who's just living in the moment at the moment. And last year we were worried when Ivan Nilsson got injured who was going to replace him. It was Dango Utara who did a job. And seemingly at the moment, it is Krupi, who could have had a goal in the first minute at the Etihad if it had just held his line for a few more seconds. But what an absolute storming goal he scored in front of the North stand to make it Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0. This kid is he's just raw. And I said this a few weeks ago. Just let him play, see the goal on site, have a go. I tell you what, someone said to me, it might be Aaron. He absolutely loves Ivan Nilsson like we all do. But he's seeming to think that Krupi might be more of a natural finisher than Ivan Nilsson.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that it's just the start for the lad, isn't it, Krupi? I mean, he's just got that natural instinct and ability, isn't he? He's got that fox in the box side to him, so he can sniff out a chance, right time, right place to put it in the back of the net, as he did at Palace. But he's also shown that he can strike from distance. He can score varied goals. I mean, the goal he scored at Leeds, I know I spoke about this last time I was on, the football intelligence that he showed to score that goal, the way he peeled away to the back post when he saw that Senesi was going to win the header to dink the ball into, which would loop the ball into the box, the way he peeled off his marker to the back post, and then the finish was extreme maturity beyond his years. And the goals he scored at Palace, yeah, instinctive. You know, he was on the byline. You know, he sniffed out the opportunity there. Fox in the box. Two different type of goals at Palace. An instinctive finish for the second one, and then the goal against Forest shows another side. So the type of goals that he's scoring are so varied, and the lad is just come in with, you know, he's ice cold, isn't he? He's showing no fear. He's just embracing it. He's seizing the moment. He's learning as he's going, a bit like Milo at the back. You're a very young lad. We've got to remember, again, it's a process with him. There's going to be frustrations. He's got to get used to the Premier League again and don't the style, what we're asking from him. I think he's got a lot more to give and to do off the ball and even on the ball. I think, you know, he needs to know when he's got to come deep, when he's got to link play, when he's got to offer more, when he's got to get our offensive players in the game so that they can then provide him with opportunities, because Ivan Nilsson does that so well. Far more intelligent, obviously, as a footballer, because he's got a lot more experience and maturity in that regard. But it's phenomenal. And we thought, again, a bit like Milo at the back, we thought, well, this is going to be a work in progress, and it'll probably take him a season before we really see him. He might get a cameo as a sub every now and again in the 85th minute, just to give him a few minutes, give him a run out, give him a taste for it. And anything we get from him in terms of goals and contributions is going to be a bonus. Well, he's proven himself to be really an integral part of this squad now. And he's got it to the point, and he's, you know, in a month, basically, where we're debating who starts. You know, if Ivan Nilsson is fully fit, and the whole of the football world are debating who starts on at the weekend. Is it going to be Ivan Nilsson or is it going to be Krupi? So that's a phenomenal achievement, really, from the lad, and testament to how well he's done. The fact that we're deliberating who starts, because, you know, you would have thought Ivan Nilsson coming back in fully fit comes straight back in. But he offers something. We've got three very, very different number nines now, with Unal back to fitness as well. They all offer us something very, very different. A bit like the centre-back situation in some way. So it is horses for courses here now. But it's given Andoni a really pleasant selection headache, isn't it? And depending on the opposition and depending on the nature of the game and what we want to do, he can pick and choose accordingly, can't he? And utilise the others from the bench if he needs to. So as long as we can keep him fit, it's a real luxury that we perhaps didn't anticipate that we might have. But yeah, been delighted with Krupi, and the best is yet to come, clearly, because he's got a hell of a future in front of him, and that's another shrewd bit of recruitment, isn't it, on the part of the recruitment team. And of course, the model, the business model has helped there with the multi-club ownership and us being able to take him from Lorient. I think West Ham were interested, weren't they? Maybe, registered an interest, lodged a bid, which was rejected. We managed to get him. But it's another great bit of business, and he's going to be such an asset in the years to come for us. And ultimately, if he was to move on in the future.
It is an interesting one that we'll move on to Aston Villa soon, Steve, because what does Ivan Nilsson, did he look ripe even before his injury? I can remember a few streams ago we were talking about Ivan Nilsson. We know what he offers. I mean, I don't see anyone negatively speaking about Ivan Nilsson. He's very powerful. He runs in behind. If anything, we spoke about, was he getting the service? But Semenyo was banging in the goals. Well, it's 3 games without a goal now for Semenyo, your guy who's in the poll trying to win player of the season so far. But it's an interesting decision coming up for Andoni. I mean, your thoughts on Ivan Nilsson and Krupi, because they are very different. Ivan Nilsson's got a better build, but Krupi does seem to know where the net is.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because like we've said before, Ivan Nilsson does so much more for the team. And is it a coincidence that Semenyo hasn't scored because Ivan Nilsson's not been in the side and isn't being that foil for him? And Krupi's not being that foil for him like Ever would be. It's a possibility. I don't know. I'm sort of just chucking that out there. But they are, like Matt said, they're completely different styles. Krupi is just a goal scorer, and he can see that straight away. He knows where to be. The goal at Palace, the back stick, the flick on, everybody goes towards the ball. He peels away and he's completely unmarked, and it's just a tap in for him. But that's a striker's instinct. And Ever's got that as well, but Ever brings so much more in the build up and the creating space for others. That's what he's really good at. Sometimes you want to see more from him because he is your striker. You've paid a lot of money for him. You come with a big reputation from Porto, and you think, we're going to get one of those. Everyone wants to find the next Henry, don't they? And we've obviously already made that comparison to Krupi, albeit that he's only played 4 games. But is he the next £100 million player? Like I've been seeing in the chat that people have been saying on Football Manager, he's so highly rated, but Ever is, for me, he comes back in. I know it's.
He knows how to score at Villa Park. As I spill my drink, he knows how to score at Villa Park.
He leaves it a bit late though, doesn't he? Usually, but it's I just think from the way that we want to play and the way Andoni wants to play, I just think you get a much more of a tune out of the team with Ever in there. Obviously, we want to see more goals, like we've said. It's a shame you can't kind of combine mash them together and get the best of both of them. But we've got what we've got, but I think personally, Ever comes in, Krupi will get his chances definitely, and we'll see him. And strikers will inevitably pick up injuries. They're going to get tackled, tackles against them. They're playing up there against the big lumps. They're going to get knocks and injuries, so he'll get plenty of chances, and I'm sure he'll score plenty of goals because, like Matt said, he's taking his chance. I mean, what was it? He had the highest conversion rate in the Premier League? Yeah, for games for minutes played, it was ridiculous.
Phenomenal.
So hats off him. He'll get his chance, but at the minute, for me, Ever comes back in.
Yeah, John, with us sort of feeding back a little bit to Nottingham Forest. Should we maybe put a good word in for Tavernier, who can get some stick? He's just notched 100 appearances. I think Senesi and Semenyo did as well. It was a bit weird that stat came in all at the same time. But Tavernier did score from the corner like Stanislas did a few years ago. I mean, again, Tavernier does struggle at times with basic passing, but he is a big time player. We've said this time and time again. Andoni leans on him a lot. And then when I think about Tavernier, and we haven't had many injuries, actually. I know we took a few knocks on Sunday, and I'm hoping they don't lead to anything serious. But we've had a real good squad to pick from, John. But, you look at Tavernier, you look at Cliver, Brooksy's in form and back. There's some headache there. And I look at Cliver and think he's a match winner. He can be a game changer. But then I look at Cliver sometimes and think he just goes missing for long periods of the game. Tavernier clearly is an all-rounder for Andoni, but then when Cliver is banging the goals in like it is against Fulham, I'd be like, well, okay, bring Tavernier out. Who would want to be Andoni Iraola right now?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I they both bring different strengths, to the game. And certainly, like Tavernier likes a shot, but Kluivert is the one that you're going to bank on scoring from distance generally. Fairly certain I saw in an interview, it was either on Match of the Day or it was somewhere else, Kluivert definitely did not mean that to go in. But it's one of those where you put it into an area you're trying to make the keeper make a decision or do something. Yeah. And it was Adams this time that was putting off Sells. Obviously, it was Brooks that was putting off Donnarumma in the Man City game to help us get that goal. But I think that's just a continuation of the general trend this season of more goals from set pieces and just trying to do more with set pieces. Although I still very much expect Bournemouth to produce those moments where it's the first corner after half time and they do something different with it just to shake things up. But Tavernier frustrates me in games. He really does. He frustrated me a lot in the Man City game. Sometimes his touch just disappears. I think he will have games where he'll receive 10 passes and miscontrol 6 of them. And I don't understand where this comes from in his game. But then, like you said, with Kluivert is liable to go missing. But Kluivert is much more likely to then just receive the ball 40 yards inside the opposition half, take 5 touches and bang it in the top corner. And Kluivert is the one that's going to stretch the pitch. It didn't really work. Neither player worked so well against Man City. Tavernier seemingly just stuck to the left-hand side. He didn't really roam. He wasn't finding the pockets in advanced spaces that you need in this situation. And then when Kluivert came on, Kluivert was running across the pitch constantly, kept finding spaces, often not receiving the ball, but what you want from Kluivert is to be picking up those spots to encourage the opposition defence to have to shift. And what Tavernier pretty much doesn't do is make a run beyond the striker. Tavernier wants to receive the ball to feet and make a move, as does Kluivert. But Kluivert is going to make that run beyond Evan Nilsson now and again to sort of like encourage to stretch the pitch. And it's just a case of Iraola needs to find the right player for the right situation. And that's not easy because you can have all the plans in the world, as we will have done in every game, and things just don't work out. Like Leeds away, was probably our worst performance of the season, somehow got a 2-2 draw. The plan would have been very different to the performance. There's only so much that Iraola can do. So that 10 spot is an interesting one because it really is Tavernier or Kluivert. But, I mean, you could kind of say that on the right. You could put Tavernier on the right instead of Brooks, as Brooks obviously was injured after the most recent international break. Tavernier came in on the right-hand side. And he had a pretty good game from what I remember. Obviously, the left wing is not changing anytime soon. But, yeah, you as a manager, I'm sure he was. I'm sure if you give him the choice between now having an almost entirely fit squad and that patch of games in the middle of last season where he had 12 fit senior players, as much as we got a lot of good results in that period, he would much rather have 2 players for each position available as he does now than if he had 1 and 3 of them were playing out of position.
And in the chat, just going back to Mark Davies, who said that Krupi, I think, could be the next £100 million player if he lives up to the Football Manager, because apparently you went for 100 million on Football Manager, and Mark Davies is a massive Football Manager. Did a new one come out yesterday? So
yeah,
fair play
apparently
to
quite
Mark.
Buggy.
Oh, so fair play to Mark if he's given us an hour and a half break from his Football Manager just to catch up with Cherries Red Army. Let's have a look. Go on, Steve.
I was just going to say, I was going to pick up on what John was saying, where I think we're quite blessed at the moment because I've heard people talk about this before, quite a lot of hybrid players. That you can play him in all sorts of positions. So I don't think it's necessarily that we have to find, or it's between Tav and Kluivert. You could equally say Christie's played there. You could say that Adley could play there. You could even say Krupi could play there.
Brooks.
Yeah. We've got so many options, and I think that's just a great thing. And there might be even a sort of side note or sort of are you not getting the best out of some of these players sometimes because week from week they're playing a different role and there's no sort of settled position. I know this modern day football and they're professionals and they should be able to do it. But you always say that you've got a favoured position where you're more comfortable, and if you're being asked to play outside of that, surely that has some sort of psychological knock-on effect. To sort of like you say about Clivert drifting in and out of games sometimes. You lose it. Maybe that's something. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that certainly with Clivert, I mean, we brought him in probably as a winger, and I'd imagine he's played most of his time as a winger in the multiple clubs that he's played at, but he found his spot as a number 10. I certainly don't. If I saw Clivert lining up on the wing, I'd just go, "Oh, great, we're playing with 10 players today." Is he an impact
player now, though?
So but he kind of always has been, in terms of like he's never massively involved in games until he pulls a screamer out of nowhere. Like occasionally he can be a little bit of nice sort of mix-up play, but yeah,
I think Tav gives you more in the press. Whereas I think Clivert gives you more in the realms of match-winning ability.
Moments. Yeah.
I also worry, Matt, that Clivert sometimes loses his head a little bit. He gets a little bit heated in moments, and there's that. So yeah, I do worry about him when he loses himself a little bit.
Yeah, he's prone to that. I think peak Clivert was at Newcastle away, wasn't it, last season? That's when he wasn't an impact player, I suppose.
And 3 penalties at Wolves.
Yeah, 3 penalties at Wolves. Yeah, but that, I mean, his all-round game though, Kirk, is being involved from minute 1 to minute 90 and really affecting things in terms of the contribution that he made with the goals and being involved in the game. That was peak Clivert. So once you've seen peak Clivert do that at Newcastle away, you're expecting him to replicate that every single game. And I think the thing that he struggles with the most, Clivert, really is consistency. I think he does drift in and out of games too much. Whether that's got to be a mental thing and it's a psychological thing. I know that he has struggled with injuries, so that's been a factor. But ultimately, it's a psychological thing, isn't it? He does drift in and out of games too much. We know what he's capable of. We know he can affect games and really put his stamp on a game from minute 1 to 90, but he just doesn't do it enough. His technical ability and what he brings to the team, both as an individual and as a team player, if you like, in that number 10 role, is second to none. I mean, he is the first choice number. He should be the first choice number 10 for me. But because he is so inconsistent and because he has that about him where he disappears, he goes missing for minutes on end in games, and you don't get anything from him, that's the frustration for me, because we know what he is capable of producing. So we need to get, that's something I'm sure Andoni and the coaching team are aware of. I think we need to get more out of him personally, because he's got that ability.
Yeah, and interestingly as well, and I'm going to move on to the league table. We want to try and see if we can guess the player, and we want to talk about Aston Villa. But Mark Singleton's talking about potentially Ryan Christie playing in the game on Sunday, and we're not even talking about him. So actually, the fact that we're not talking about Ryan Christie when we were like, what are we going to do when we've got no Ryan Christie? And we're not even crossing that mind. So really, we are. Let's look at that league table then. We were second before the Manchester City game, or we were after we won against Forest, but we have dropped down to 5th. That's because of conceding 3 goals at Manchester City, Sunderland getting a draw against Everton. So we are still in and around it though, and okay, we got Aston Villa to come, but then I think we come back home to West Ham, and I really fancy us against them. I know they got a result last time out, but yeah, really fancy us against them. So guys, we need to guess the player, don't we? So you had hint 1 about 10 or 15 minutes ago. So this is where you're going to start getting involved in the chat. Anyone who's just recently joined us in the chat, thank you very much. We've gone up about 10 viewers in the last 5 minutes. So we will show you hint 1 again. We're talking about guess the player. So hint 1, we've done these a few weeks now, so you should be getting to grips with it. So this player we're talking about started his career at Sheffield United, then went to Hidden Badge, Southend United, Hidden Badge, and finished his career at Bournemouth. So now we're going to move on to hint 2, and then you can start going for it in the chat with your predictions. So hint 2, started career at Sheffield United, then went to Grimsby Town, then went to Tranmere, Southend United, Charlton, AFC Bournemouth. Sheffield United, Grimsby, Tranmere, Southend, Charlton, and Bournemouth.
I think
So
I've
they're
got
going
it.
to start guessing in the chat, guys. Before you give any of your guesses, Matt, give me a nod. Do you think you've got it?
Well, yeah, possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Steve, do you think you've got it without giving me a guess yet?
I think I have, yeah, but I'm not convinced because I'm sure. Yeah, there's something that doesn't sit right with me about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I think it's the player I think it is, but I thought he played for somebody else. I thought he started somewhere else.
Okay. I mean, I've taken this from Transfermarkt, so hopefully it's all correct. But you've got most of the teams there. If we are missing one, I do apologise, but going off Transfermarkt. So, Matt, because John thinks he's got it, so I'll come to John last. Who do you think the player is this evening?
Well, I want to say Simon Francis.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. I think that's who it is, but I don't think he started at Sheffield United.
Okay. I might have had a Steve moment then if I've not actually got this 100% correct. But
that's what I'm doubting. Those first three clubs, I'm doubting, but particularly the Sheffield United, yeah. Okay. Otherwise, I'm saying Simon Francis.
John?
I seem to remember him doing an interview and him talking about his move to Sheffield United.
Oh, okay. Did he make appearances, though? Because I'm just wondering if Transfermarkt haven't picked it up as 0 appearances, because I think they only pick it up. John?
Yeah, possibly.
It's been coming up in the comments as well. As soon as I saw Charlton, and then Southend kind of rang a bell.
Yeah.
I was going with Simon Francis. I'm glad I got it because the first 2 weeks I got Gosling and Anderson. So I would have been very disappointed. I had no idea when all I could see was Sheffield United and Southend. But
the chat think they've got it.
I think Wikipedia has a club before Sheffield United.
Oh, who's the club before?
What is it?
Nottingham Forest, Bradford City.
Did he make any appearances? Did he make any appearances?
Yeah, he's 55 appearances, 1 goal.
Oh, well, only a few then.
Yeah.
Season and a bit.
You've done a massive hensman here.
I have had a massive hensman. However, it still worked out because you've got it absolutely right. Guess the player is the amazing recruitment man, Simon Francis, whopping right back as well. Best right back, or is Adam Smith nudged him to that now? Best of a right back.
The thing, okay, here's what I would say is that Frano
he wasn't always a right back though, was he?
Frano wasn't always a right back. Two,
didn't he?
Him and Matt Ritchie was like the thing for us in the same way that Pewey and Charlie were on the left hand side. That was the Eddie Howe staple as pairs all over the pitch, and Frano and Ritchie were a force of nature on that right hand side. Admittedly, more so in the Championship. But I do prefer Francis to Smith personally, as much as I do love Smudger.
I've done a hensman potentially, but it still worked out. So it's all good. It's all absolutely good. I want to take this moment before we move on to Aston Villa at Villa Park on Sunday again, just to thank you wonderful people who support the channel so we can be here doing this right now. We have had some new members join in the last week or two, so thank you to anyone who's recently joined. Thank you to Andrew as well, who recently donated following his appearance in the last stream. You can donate or become a member at Cherries Red Army at www.cherriesredarmy.com. It's in the description below. The link now works. It will take you straight there after the stream. Any donations go towards supporting our StreamYard and all our costs, editing tools, etc. So thank you very much for that. And we'll now take 20 seconds for you to subscribe to Cherries Red Army. Hit the like button to support this video growing between now and Sunday as we start to talk about Bournemouth going away from home again to take on a bit more informed now, Aston Villa. Okay, Sunday. Is it 2:00, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing it. He's putting it on the
2:00.
screen.
That's transfer marked, right? It quite clearly says Bradford at the
Have
Have I
bottom.
missed
Sorry.
the team?
Who
Have
started?
I missed the team? Okay. I've done a hensman. I mean, we've accepted I've done a hensman. I've picked up the baton, so I've got that one until someone or Steve takes it back
I
at
think
some
we should
point.
do a new game. Spot the mistake that we make.
We still got it right,
Yeah.
though, didn't we?
We
Everyone
still-
got it
yeah.
right.
We got there in the
Absolutely. Is it a 2:00 kickoff on Sunday, Aston Villa? I
Yeah,
haven't
it
even
is.
checked
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
please.
Yeah.
It is.
So Sunday, 2:00, we will be at Villa Park. Before they lost last time out, they were 6 unbeaten with 4 wins in a row. So, John, they very much have sorted out their early poor form. And looking back to themselves, I know they've got a European game tomorrow night. I mean, the last time we played a team like that in that European competition was Forest when they played on the Thursday. So interesting to think what the guys think in the chat, whether that's going to help us again. I mean, they are at home and they're going to be at home on Sunday, but they look more frightening than they did earlier on at the start of the season.
Yeah. We also came up with that against Newcastle as well. Obviously, I think they played Barcelona either the week before or the week after, and obviously they came to us and set up for a 0-0 draw. Yeah, I think Aston Villa basically are back to what they always were, because that start of the season, I think, is very much down to the all of the nonsense that was going on behind the scenes in terms of them having to meet PSR rules and having to make sales and the like, and having it was the Truth podcast, that was it, who's got an Aston Villa fan on it, was saying that the European PSR rules are slightly different to the Premier League ones, and there was a player that they sold to. That was it. They sold Ramsey to Newcastle. And then in a completely unrelated deal, like 2 or 3 weeks later, they were looking to buy Osula from Newcastle. And the UK rules go like, okay, yeah, 2 separate deals. But European PSR says, oh, that's a deal between the same club. That's a buy and a sell. Oh, that's just a swap, and we completely ignore the money that you've made off that deal. So, like, there's all kinds of rubbish that went on behind the scenes that prevented them from making a load of purchases and had to sell players they didn't want to, in all likelihood. So it's taken them like 2 months to sort of like readjust and get themselves to the point where it's like, okay, we are now settled and let's play football like we always have. And Unai Emery is still a really, really good manager.
Yeah.
There was a fog that was over that team for a while, and now they are, really starting to perform again. Admittedly, you've got Ollie Watkins is not doing the business in terms of the goal and assist numbers for them in the same way that he's already got something for England this season, but there's a hell of a lot of quality in that side, and it is going to be another very, very difficult game. I mean, I didn't get to watch the majority of the away match from last season, but if memory serves me, we're battered for about 80 minutes, and then just were all over them in the last 10, and managed to get. We took the same set piece 3 times, and finally got a goal at the end with a fantastic Evan Nilsson header. So, yeah, it was always going to be a difficult game regardless of their form, but certainly now that they've picked it back up again, I mean, they lost to Liverpool, who doesn't? But it's going to be a very tough game.
Matt, Stephen in the chat says Martinez is prone to the odd mistake, but are they looking like they are a better team because they've now sorted out that whole Emi Martinez thing that was going on in the summer transfer window? He was off, he wasn't off, and I don't know who the goalkeeper was that came in, but they do say sometimes
Marc Bizot.
Oh yeah, however you say
that was his meme for about a week. He just kept saying the goalkeeper's name 5 times.
Yeah. But Matt, they do say sometimes that your team starts from the back, and if you get a good goalkeeper, then you can be pretty decent. Obviously, keeping clean sheets and getting a lot of results.
Yeah, there was a lot of uncertainty, as John's highlighted. I think there was a lot of upheaval, wasn't there, around the start of the season with what they were going to do, what they had to do with PSR. lot of rumours of players being linked away, possible players coming in, which obviously unsettles a football club, doesn't it? Unsettles a squad and a team. But as John said, Unai Emery, I mean, I had never had any doubt that he would haul Villa up the league because he's a first-class, top-class manager. So no surprise to see that they've been on this run where they won 4 on the bounce, lost at Anfield on Saturday night. They had their moments. They gave Liverpool a game. They're dangerous. There's similarities, I think, in the styles of football that both of us play. I think Unai Emery is a bit more possession based, but again, he likes to press. He likes to play a high line. So it's an intriguing matchup. It really is. I know we say this most games with teams in the Premier League, but this one really is. And they have got real quality. Yeah, they're not really firing on all cylinders up top. They're not exactly scoring goals for fun, I wouldn't say, with Watkins in the 9. But they have got options. They've got Barkley there now who can make things happen. Sancho's there as well. They've both been sort of coming off the bench. I think they were both on the bench on Saturday night. So they got and they've solidified at the back. So they've shored up at the back, which is the staple of Unai Emery's side, and he makes sure that they've got a solid base to work from. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us, but I think it's a challenge that we can rise to. I'm hoping that the knocks that we've taken, I think probably 4 players that there's probably question marks over. That after last Sunday, definitely Jimenez, probably Tyler Adams, Semenyo, Alex Scott, I think Andoni mentioned had taken a knock as well. So let's see what we've got in terms of numbers. But we had a fully fit squad, didn't we, going into the City game, really? So hopefully we've got strength and depth there to be able to cope with any knocks that we've got. And I think we've got to go there and impose our game on them, a bit like we did at Man City, but just do it better. Because let's be honest, they're not of the level that Man City are at the Etihad. We're not up against that this Sunday. I don't feel. I feel we're quite evenly matched, actually, if I'm being honest, as squads and as football teams this season. I don't think there's a lot between us. If you look through both of our squads, which is a phenomenal thing to say, isn't it? That we're matching, and I think Steve highlighted it earlier. We're now competing for best of the rest, and we're saying that we're matching Aston Villa in terms of our squad quality, our depth, and everything we've got about us on paper. That's phenomenal to be able to sit here and say that, being AFC Bournemouth. So yeah, I think it'll be a tight game. It's going to be about who really turns up on the day and who shows their quality, and who's really on it on the day. Who wants it more as well. Who's going to nick it really. So I'm hoping we can come out on top.
So I am going to want to get all of your thoughts on the screen in regards to the lineups. I'll go to Steve first in a moment, and I'm obviously going to want to get your thoughts in the chat as well. So do get involved. So Steve, let's head over to SofaScore and see what they're predicting as a predicted lineup. So they are saying that potentially Aston Villa will set up in the 4-2-3-1. Martinez, Cash, Konza, Torres, Digne, Onana, Camara, McGinn, Rogers, Gassand, and Watkins. And over our side, as I said, I was a little bit worried from the City game if we had picked up any knocks. I'm worried about Jimenez a little bit because I think he was looking like a proper right back the last few games. So SofaScore's got us as Petrovic, back 4 as Hill, Diakite, Senesi, Truthert, Scott, Adams, Brooks, Tavernier, Semenyo, and Krupi in instead of Eva Nilsson. So, Steve, your initial thoughts on those predicted lineups or what you might see different happen on Sunday at like 1 o'clock?
The formation's right, isn't it?
Yeah,
I can't see James Hill starting personally. I think that's.
Are you worried about Jimenez?
Why?
He looked like he picked up a really nasty injury.
Well, unless he did get injured.
He did, yeah.
Oh, did he? Is he out?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if he's definitely out, but he did pick up a heavy knock. Yeah.
Right. I haven't heard the fallout of it, but is Smith not back in? I thought Smith was raring to go again now.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah,
and Lewis Cook.
If he's not available, I can't see that Smith doesn't come back in. I can't see James Hill playing there unless we're really desperate. And even got Lewis Cook, haven't we?
Yeah.
And the other one for me is that I just
the only time he gets a game now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's
right,
I
just think if we, I just think we need to get Evan Nilsson back into the side as quickly as possible. Personally, just from a team perspective. I just think he brings so much more to it. Even though Junior's been scoring the goals, I just think Evan Nilsson makes us such a different proposition as a team, and I just think, we didn't start him last season. That game you were talking about, we didn't start him last season. We actually started him now, and he didn't have much joy. Actually, it was pretty poor performance, I thought. And then you bring Ever on, he scores a goal. So actually, maybe there's a case for having him as impact sub instead. I don't know. But I think for the mainstay, that'll probably be what we go with. I think Tavernier will keep the 10 over Kluivert, because I don't think Kluivert's done enough personally. And Andoni likes to have him in the squad, doesn't he? He likes to have him in the starting 11.
Yeah. So interestingly, John, we've gone full circle. So does Milo start his first away game?
He's on mute.
Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute, John.
Sorry. Whoops, my bad. I have no idea, really. I mean, as
what would you do
with all of us?
I
think I would probably. I think if you're coming to the idea of let's test him against one of the against the top strikers, like admittedly he's had quite a poor season in the Premier League, but Watkins is still a very canny operator in the Premier League, and was probably the second best striker in the league last season, behind Haaland. And the thing that Haaland obviously gives you is a lot of movement beyond, and Watkins is the same. He wants to run beyond and stretch the pitch. So it would be a good test for Milosavljevic to come in and replace Diakite there. I think I probably wouldn't for the time being. I think I probably would stick with Diakite for now. I think it would be important to give it as a kind of showing of faith by the manager to sort of like still say that, particularly when you consider like he is our second most expensive signing ever. You don't want to exactly write him off after 10 games and be like, you're good in some, but you were awful in others, so we're going to try this 18-year-old instead over you for the rest of the season. Obviously Senesi lost out to Housen because he was injured. If Diakite is not injured and Senesi comes in and plays the majority of the season, great for us, but not exactly the best for him, and doesn't look as great in terms of what our hit and misses on transfers recently. As for the rest, I think if Tavernier does start, the one thing I just want him to see him play a bit higher up, because the thing that he produced there were plenty of lovely little triangles that we produced against Man City, but they were all in our own third. And they were all sort of like getting ourselves into the point at which, okay, we've passed around a few players, now we're in the opposition half, and then nothing happened. And part of the reason for that was Tavernier just doesn't really make anything happen in that situation. So what I would like to see, at least if he does play, is a bit more combination work. He needs to come over to the right hand side a little bit more, because he was very much left side focused against City, and then. But obviously it's a very different game against Aston Villa. Aston Villa are not going to set up in the way that, at least I'd be very surprised if they set up in the same way that the Man City did. I would expect them to press a little bit more, and that suits us. So, then Tavernier may well come into his own a little bit more in that situation. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's certainly going to be at least 8 of those 11. It is just those few places that, whether through injury or form, we're just a little bit sort of uncertain of.
I would agree with John, and I would leave Diakite in this week. And that's not because I don't rate Milo, and I'd like to see him. I really would. But I think if you've had a couple of poor or below par, I'm not going to say poor, but below par performances, I think you manage the guy and say, look, get in there and show me what you can do, and redeem yourself, because you've been a bit below par. And just make that shirt your own, because you don't want him to get pulled out of the firing line and just think, I've wasted my time here, and just be completely dejected. Milo will know that he's the backup, because he's the youngster, he's the 18-year-old, and Diakite, I just think although he's not that old himself, He's got far more experience, and I think he's a better player than he's shown. I think he's just having a little bit of period where he's still adjusting. Let's not forget, to the Premier League.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't take him out. I think it'd kill his confidence completely if you took him out now.
The guy's got Champions League experience. He's not. He's not. He's.
And I think any striker. You just compared Haaland to Watkins in the style of what they want to do, but they're still levels apart. Haaland to Watkins.
Yeah,
Haaland does it much better. I think Diakite can handle Watkins far better than if he came up against Haaland.
One final thought on that graphic, Matt. I'm looking at Antoine Semenyo, who has had a fantastic start to the season. No goals in 3, though. Is he due a goal?
Yeah, absolutely. It's up to us, and it's up to Antoine Semenyo to get himself in the game and be effective in the game. I think John highlighted earlier that he didn't really get himself in the game against Manchester City, and we needed him to be in the game. We needed him to have a big performance for us to get anything against Man City. He didn't do that. Credit Manchester City because they snuffed him out. So they made sure really that he didn't get himself in the game. They did a job on him, if we're being honest. But that's up to him as a player to overcome that, because the great players, if we're talking about him leaving this summer or whenever it is for 100 million or whatever it is, and in him getting his big move, then the great players find a way to get themselves in the game against top level opposition and affect it. So it's up to us, as we've got a responsibility as a team, and he's got a responsibility to make sure that he does that. We do need a big performance, as we will most games, if we're going to be taking points from the likes of Aston Villa away and other such teams in the Premier League. We're going to need Antoine Semenyo on it and being effective in the final third with numbers, which he has done, a lot this season. Obviously, 6 goals, 3 assists from 10 games is not too shabby, is it? He has been very clinical in what he's done. But the last couple of games, maybe you could argue that he's slipped off it a little bit in terms of his level. So one thing we don't want is for him to become complacent at all. He needs to be on it on Sunday. And going back to the Milo Diakite debate, I think at some point you need a settled back 4. So you can't keep on with this. Shall we play Milo this week or shall we play Bafo? At some point, Andoni's going to have to nail his colours to the mast, isn't he? And say, look, this is my centre back pairing, and go and stick with it up to a point. You can't keep swapping and changing every week, can you? So, and I agree with the boys. I think it would be Bafo that sticks in there for this game. To be fair, I think he deserves that. He deserves that. He deserves that chance, really. That chance to offer some consistency, which he hasn't really had yet. So, yeah, I think Smithy at right back. I would say if Jimenez isn't fit, otherwise, obviously, you'd keep Jimenez there and keep Tav in the 10, but make sure that he's affecting things in an offensive sense as well.
By the way, that was half an attempt to stay out of the view. Didn't work.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to tell her it didn't work, Steve.
No. Is that Rach? Was that Adam?
Yeah, she's because I have to set up in Adam's room, so
right.
His clothes are in here and his pajamas are in here, and she just opened the door and went, "Can I grab his pajamas?" Tried to hide out of sight, and all you could see was a back going across the screen.
Well, Matt was doing a great job in staying professional.
I mean, I have no idea what Matt said, to be honest.
I'm not going to repeat. I can't remember now, so I'm not repeating it.
What I do know
is
that he was talking.
Produce.
He was talking about Antoine Semenyo, and I can tell you now, by the way, that Semenyo's absolutely run away with this poll tonight. I thought it'd be a little bit closer. He is the player of the season, according to the chat, by 60% after 10 games. Marcus Senesi, 7%. Alex Scott, 3%. You've hung me out to dry, chat. 3%. Antoine Semenyo, 60%, deserves it. Tyler Adams has been a monster as well, so he got 30%.
It'd have been interesting if we'd have chucked Traffair in there as well and see
how
many you got.
And I know Aaron, who's in our Cherries Red Army chat, he did say about Petrovic, and I think Steve brought up Trufer as well, and there were names in there, but it's difficult. We can only add 4, and we thought we'd try and mix it up a little bit, but Semenyo still probably would have run away with it. Right. We have clocked an hour and a half, but we have got to get the score predictions out for Aston Villa on Sunday. So go for it in the chat. Time for your Aston Villa versus AFC Bournemouth score predictions in the chat. We'll get Steve, John, and Matt's prediction in a bit. Let's just have a look while you're doing that at the other fixtures in the Premier League this weekend. We might not care about it, but maybe we do want to try and just climb a few places again. So Tottenham taking on Manchester United in the early kickoff on Saturday. 5 games on Saturday. Everton against Fulham, West Ham against Burnley, Sunderland against Arsenal. Sunderland 1 place ahead of us, so interesting. Chelsea against managerless Wolverhampton Wanderers. Gary O'Neill potentially was going to go back, but no Cunha, not interested. Aston Villa taking on Bournemouth. Brentford versus Newcastle, Crystal Palace against Brighton, Nottingham Forest against Leeds, Manchester City against Liverpool on the Sunday. Matt, if you had to pick one game that you're keeping an eye on, is it Sunderland?
Yeah, that's an interesting game. Of course it is. I think it's a big challenge for Arsenal going there. They've had a fantastic start. They're actually above us, aren't they, on goal difference, Sunderland, which is unbelievable. And going to the stadium. Sorry, John?
Oh, sorry. I thought they were pointing above us, but I think they are level on.
Yeah, the level. Yeah, it's just the goal difference, isn't it? Yeah, so they've had an unbelievable start. And anybody going to the Stadium of Light, as we'll find out in a few weeks, it's a hostile place to go. Big stadium, passionate fan base. Going to be tough for Arsenal, but I'd expect them to come through it. I'll be honest. I think Sunderland, great start. I think they might.
Against Xhaka, aren't they?
Yeah, who's been pivotal for them, but I think they might fade slightly as the season goes on. Well, hopefully, anyway, from our point of view. Tottenham Man United. Well, was it Tottenham Man United there, Kirk? That looks like
Tottenham Man United. Yeah,
that obviously is always a fixture that stands out somewhat. Be interesting to see what happens in that one. And then on Sunday,
Manchester City Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yeah,
if we want to get something at Villa Park, then that obviously gives us an opportunity to climb back up again.
Yeah, we want to draw there, don't we? Really, but I just feel like Man City might nick that one. I think they're in a little bit better nick at the moment at home as well. But a draw would be lovely in that one. Palace Brighton, obviously, a little bit of a that weird local derby that they've got going on, the M23 derby, whatever that is, bit of rivalry. That's
worse than our one with Southampton, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up there, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know if it's worse than ours in Southampton rivalry, but it's up there. Strange one. And then obviously ourselves. But let's move on to that. So do you want my prediction then, Kurt?
Well, let's move on to it. I'll tell you what, Steve and John, I think Matt covered them all off in the end. So we haven't got to move round to you and get your thoughts on the other fixtures. Matt's done it. So let's move into the chat. The score prediction come through. Whoa, we got a few going in there, haven't we? So let's stick the banner off the screen. Let's get a few from the chat first of all, and then I'll come round. So Steve Connor, thank you for joining us and being very active in the chat. Thank you to anyone who's been very active in the chat. We enjoy it, gets involved. He's gone 2-1 to the Cherries. Mark Singleton's going for a 2-2. Stephen Dyer, 2-0 Cherries win. Clean sheet, lovely. Morgan's going for 3-0. Mark and Bev, or it'll be Mark or Bev, going for 1-1 like last season. Chris Hubble's going for 2-1 to the Cherries, and so is Jamie. So, Matt, let's have your score prediction. Let's stop it there. Let's go for your score prediction for you Sunday.
Yeah, 2-1 is what I'm going with as well. I think we've got the opportunity to nick it. I think, like I said, it'll be a tight game, a close game, but hopefully we can put in a real performance. Not really a contrast in styles too much. Similar matchup in terms of the style of play with the managers and the players. Really, really tight affair. But hopefully our quality will shine through and we'll make amends for last Sunday and nick it 2-1.
So we were there, 2-1. Ethan Burney's going for 2-2. Wing is also going for 2-1. Now, John, I'm coming to you straight after this one, and you're going to get a massive helping hand. The legend, Carol Toller, who knows what the lottery numbers are on Saturday, is going 2-1 to the Ches. So think very carefully, John. You don't want to go against Carol because she knows what she's talking about.
I got 1-1. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off straight away. I think that it's
disrespecting Carol there.
It's so was everyone else in the chat that didn't go 2-1 then. I personally think that I've been more optimistic this season, but I'm still a realist, and I just think that away at home against Aston Villa, even if we do say that the levels are relatively similar between what we can produce and what Aston Villa can produce, Emery typically has at least something on Iraola, something in his back pocket to against Iraola. Obviously, my memory is of the 1-1 result away last season, of the 2-2 draw the season before that at home, which we were a little unfortunate not to win, but we were also fortunate not to lose. So I think a 1-1 would still be a really good result. I mean, if you look at all the away games that we played, the one thing I would like to see is us just trying really hard to bring the goals against down, because at home we've conceded two goals, but we've conceded 11. No, more than that. No, it's 11 or 12, I think, away from home so far this season. So it's not been great. We've played loads of really good sides, but we'd just like to try and maybe. Well, it's going against what I was talking about before about how Iraola has only one way to play. But I would love us to try and keep the goals against Column just a little bit more under control than they have been recently. But I think 1-1 is a result I'd be happy with.
James White at No Fuss Muss is going for a Cherries 1-0 away win. Mark Cole is going for 3-2. 3-2, cracking result there if we get that one. And I think Darren Hurst is also going for a 3-2 to the Cherries. Gene's going for 3-1 to the Cherries. Mark was going for 1-1. Bev said, "Don't know." Is that sitting on the fence, Bev? I mean, we're here for about another 5 minutes.
Score. Come on, Bev.
We'll let you have 5 more minutes, but that's sitting on the fence. Come on, Bev. Let's have your score prediction in the chat. 2-1 to the Cherries. Right, let's bring it home, Steve. Your score prediction.
I do believe this is going to be almost a stalemate. I think it's going to be a really tight affair. Two good footballing sides play similarly, but I'm just going to side with us. I'm going to go with what I think it was only who put the 1-0, but I'm going to go for us for the one. Was it James? Yeah. Was it? I'm going to echo that and go for a cheeky 1-0 away win. I'm taking my eldest lad who hasn't been to an away game for a long time, so it'd be good to get a win. See the boys do well. Oh, and it's going to be Diakite header, and we're all going to be sitting in next week going, can't drop Diakite.
and there'll be a reason we're sat here and not in the dugout, by the way.
Barnstormer.
And I think Bev's in with the famous Cherries Red Army 3-1, the creator. Sammy, now, have you got your score prediction in? Did I miss it?
I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Maybe she just doesn't even put it in anymore.
Yeah.
She doesn't even put it in anymore.
3-1.
She just expects us to say it.
Just assume it is.
Sammy Nell's gone 3-1 to the Cherries. My score prediction is I just can't go against her. She's an absolute legend. I just can't go against her. I'm sticking with Carol. Look, maybe the dust will fall at some point, but she's on it at the moment, and I'm backing her. So let's go, Carol team. 2-1 to the Cherries. Another great night. A few weeks since we did the last one. We will try and come back after the Villa game, which is hopefully a positive performance, positive result. We can climb a few places, get back in the mix, and then we're at home to West Ham, and I really back us for that. Of course, anything can happen in the Premier League, but I do back us for that. So thank you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe very, very quickly then, guys, as we always do. Final thoughts. So, Steve, thank you. Good to see you again. Final thoughts on this latest stream here on Cherries Red Army. Good to see you. Good evening.
Yeah, great chat, guys, as always, and great to hear from the chat, everyone in the chat. Look, let's just brush off our wounds, dust ourselves down after Man City, get back on the bike, get the Villa, have a few pints, win 1-0. We'll be home for a sensible time this week, not a bloody 1 o'clock in the morning like last Sunday, and we'll be happy Cherries. So that just let's change this positive, this slight negativity that's come off the back of the Man City and be a bit more, get back on that positivity bus.
Yeah, John. if anyone was wondering what day it was, it's a Wednesday because John's here. So we will make sure we do plenty of Wednesdays because I know there's some John fans in the chat. So, John, your final thoughts on this latest stream?
Those poor people. Yes, thanks again, guys, for the great chat. Always enjoy coming on here and talking Cherries with all of you. Just hoping for a bit to bring that positivity back against Villa. There was, it's funny the different sort of reactions we got from in terms of the fan base. From a 4-2 loss to Liverpool felt like a really great result, and a 3-1 loss to Man City felt like a disappointment. So I think it shows the progression of the team. I think that there's still quite a bit more to come because right now we have been in a little bit of we haven't necessarily hit the highs that we know this team can produce over the last sort of 3 or 4 match weeks. So there's plenty more to come, and looking forward to Sunday afternoon and catching the side again on the telly.
Wonderful. And Matt, your final thoughts? Good to see you back. And any more trips planned to France, just so I can put it in my diary?
No, that's it, mate. No, I only have one holiday a year at best, and I'm doing well with that. So no more trips planned to France. No, going to Edinburgh in a few weeks to Sunderland away. Stopping up in Edinburgh. Oh, yeah. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Looking forward to Sunday as well. And just to touch on what John said there and what Steve said, great to see people interactive in the chat. Great to share views with everybody and to come on again. So thanks for having me on, Kurt. Really enjoy it as ever. Expectation levels have risen, haven't they, with the start that we've had? So everybody now, including outside of Bournemouth and the footballing world, are expectant of Bournemouth to do well. But look, even if we lose this game on Sunday, it's still been a phenomenal start to the season, because we will go through periods in the season where we'll have a blip. We've only lost twice, so we're bound to go on a run where things don't go our way. But we've got to stick together as a fan base and as a football club and pull the team through that. Hopefully that won't be the case on Sunday, and fingers crossed for a great result. But great to see you all, boys and girls, and safe journey to Villa. Look forward to it. Up the Cherries.
Well said, everyone. Again, a final thank you from me. A really, really active chat. Absolutely love it. We will try and come back next week between Villa and West Ham, and we'll catch up with where we got on Sunday, and we'll prepare for West Ham. Thank you to anyone who got involved on the poll. So well done to Antoine Semenyo, Cherries Red Army's player of the season so far after 10 games. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to John. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to everyone in the chat, everyone who's joined us. And well done to anyone who got guest player. Well done, Simon Francis, who started his career at Bradford City, not Sheffield United. Have a good rest of the week. Safe travels if you go into Villa Park. Wherever you're following the Cherries around the world, get behind the team, because we could be climbing that table, the Premier League, very, very soon, again on Sunday. Thanks for joining us. See you soon. Subscribe, like, up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.
You it.